And welcome everyone once again. We'll start with a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And I'll go ahead with the screen share. Here we are. So I think we managed to get through Gimel yesterday, but we also did some Torah Tamima. So we'll go back to the Rashi right now, and we are listing the various components that went into the Mishkan. And we noted yesterday that kesef, silver, was a different kind of donation than all the rest, and that all the rest amounted to 13 different items.
Yeah,
So,
and we got through hay yesterday with Rashi.
oh, really?
Yeah, that all the way through the Tachash and the acacia wood.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I remember reading that now. All right, so let's keep going. Shemen lamaor, oil for lighting. There's the mark, of course. Oil for lighting. Besamim, and spices. L'shemen hamishcha, for the anointing oil. Veliktor tasamim, and those spices also for the incense. For the incense. So let's take a look here. All right. So let's see. Yeah. All right. Shemen lamaor. Shemen zayit zach. We're talking about the purest of olive oil. Zayit is the word for olive. Shemen oil. Zach, pure, clean. La'alot ner tamid, in order to kindle the perpetual light. And they describe this elsewhere, because this mitzvah to bring shemen is mentioned elsewhere, that basically the processing of the olives involved several stages. And this is the very first stage, where you basically beat the olive once, and whatever oil comes out, it may be just a drop, that's the oil. That's the purest oil, because there's no sediment in that oil whatsoever. And of course, it would take a lot of olives to be able to create a decent amount of oil, which is why it was going to take 8 days in the Hanukkah story to produce oil for kindling the menorah. So this is the purest of olive oil. Besamim, spices. L'shemen hamishcha, for the anointing oil. Shene'esa limshoach klei hamishkan. They used this oil was prepared to anoint the vessels of the mishkan, of the tabernacle. V'hamishkan, and the tabernacle itself, lekadsho, to sanctify it. So this gives us a little bit of insight as to the nature of anointing. That anointing was a way of declaring the sanctity of a particular object. In other words, its uniqueness, that it had a unique role separated from other similar vessels, etc. V'hutzrechu lo besamim, and this oil required spices, aromatic spices, kamosha mefurash be'kitisa, as will be detailed in the parsha of Kitisa. V'liktoret hasamim, a getoret is a column of smoke, as he says down here. Hasamim, shahayu maktirim bechol erev vavoker. They used to light this incense, set fire to this incense every evening and morning, kamosh shemifurash be'va'atat tetzaveh, as will be detailed. It's the next parsha of Tetzaveh, va'atat tetzaveh, and you command. V'lashon ketoret, and the language, the term ketoret, ha'al'ah, is the going up, the rising up, kitor v'timrot ashan, of smoke and a column of smoke again. Okay, that's ketoret. Avnei Shoham. I understand that Shoham is translated as onyx, onyx stones, for Avnei Miluim, and stones for setting. La ephod, that is for the ephod, and the choshen, this is the breastplate that the high priest had. I'm wondering if I could try and see if I can find quickly a picture for you. So let me stop this share and see if I can find another share. Hopefully I have it open. One moment. One moment, I'm sorry. I may have opened up. I may have to look for it. Okay. One moment, please. Here we go. Let's try this. Find a nice picture for you. Oh, okay. That wasn't. Oh, there we are. Trying. Let's see if this works. Here we are. Good. I have something for you. Here we are. This is the breastplate we're talking about. And so you can see the stones, the 12 stones that were selected to represent the 12 tribes, and I think coincidentally, the 12 signs of the zodiac, etc. And this is the ephod. This is the ephod. And it's covered up by I don't believe this little piece here is accurate, because this was at the top of the ephod. And what I can do is see if I can get another picture of the ephod. Let me see if I can do that. Okay, this is not, I'm not seeing it.
So click images instead of
Oh,
what
yeah.
you have it on is all.
Yes.
And yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, I like this picture the best that I'm quickly seeing.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other, this is also, see this? Okay, let's see what I can do with this one. Here. Let's see if this will come out. There we go. All right, nice. This is very nice. So this is this ephod, and you can see that it has, see, it doesn't have anything above the belt line, but Rashi describes it, and we'll see how he does it, as a woman's riding skirt, riding apron. So you can see that it's an apron that ties around the front, and it has these straps that go up. This is all attached to the ephod. It then comes around on his shoulders, and then the breastplate is attached to it. Here, there are rings on the inside here that go in this way, and this is quite an accurate picture because it's showing these blue threads that attach to it there, and then there was a chain that attached to the breastplate. So, by the way, the garments, although Rashi will not go into it, the garments of the high priest all symbolized atonement. They came to atone for different things. And I believe the ephod came to atone. It's detailed elsewhere. There are other commentaries or in the Gemara which explains the symbolism of each one of the garments. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe this came to atone for idolatry. I believe it did. So, all right, I'm going to go back now. But I thought it was important for you to see what that was, that was helpful for you to see that. One moment, let me see if I can find our place. Okay. There we are. So let's take a look. Okay, we had Avnei Shoham. Shtayim hutzrechu sham. Two of them, two of these stones, of these onyx stones, were required, the tzorach ha'ephod, for the use of the ephod, because these two onyx stones were put on those straps that went up and over his shoulder, and on the top of his shoulder, of these shoulders on either side, were these two onyx stones, right? An onyx stone on each side, with six of the, if I'm not mistaken, with six of the tribes on one engraved on one stone, and six of the tribes engraved on the other stone. But there we go. It says Ha'amur ba'atat tetzaveh. It's stated in the next parsha. So this parsha that we're reading, Truma, deals with the details of the tabernacle, and Va'atat tetzaveh describes the clothing of the high priest and the priests. And it also, the next parsha also, it's basically two parts. One is the clothing, and the second half, basically, the installation of Aaron and his sons, the ceremony involved. All right. Miluim. We said settings. Lemalot means to fill in. Al Shem she'osin lahem bezahav moshav. And the reason is that a setting, moshav, is placed around them in gold. Kemin guma, like an indentation. So the stone is put into this setting, into this gold setting, and held in place by this gold setting. Venotnin ha'even sham, and they put the stone inside it there. Lemalot haguma, to fill that indentation. Kruyim avnei miluim, and such stones are called avnei miluim, stones that fill in. Umakom hamoshav, and the place, the setting itself, that is this gold place where it is put, karui mishbatzot, is called a setting. So the shabetz, by the way, Scrabble, if I'm not mistaken, Shira Beth, is called shabetzna. Right?
Well, I know crossword puzzles are called
Tashbetz?
tashbetz.
Yes.
Crossword is called tashbetz.
And the reason why is the crossing of the words. And this word shavatz has the meaning of interweave, to interweave. So when you create words in Scrabble, you interweave words in Scrabble, and likewise with a crossword puzzle. So interesting way in which new words are created. La'afod v'lachoshen, these stones were for the ephod and the breastplate. Avnei hashoem la'ephod, the onyx stones for the ephod. V'avnei miluim, and these stones of setting, lachoshen, for the breastplate. V'choshen v'ephod, and the choshen, the breastplate, and the ephod. There's no English word for ephod. E-P-H-O-D, that's it. Mefurashim are explained by Va'atat Tetzaveh in this parsha of Atat Tetzaveh, Vehem Minei Tachshit. They're a kind of actually adornment. I'm going to change this to adornment. It's a better translation. Right. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. And let them make for me a sanctuary. That's what va'asuli, and let them make for me a sanctuary. V'shachanti betocham, and I will dwell amongst them. So something very significant, right, is happening here. Okay. Va'asu lishmi. Okay. So I think the reason for Rashi saying this is they should make for my sake a holy place, a holy dwelling, is because they're not making a home for God, not quite literally. The whole universe is actually, God contains the universe, not the other way around. But they're making this sanctuary, they're dedicating this particular space. They're making it according to these specific specifications, the acts that go on there, the rites of the priest are all preordained and specified, etc. And in that way, this is going to be a place in which God will now dwell amongst them. So this is the purpose. the purpose of our lives, you could say, because you'll see this is so important. It is mentioned, as I've already mentioned many times, as we move towards the end of the book of Exodus. And by the way, if you look at the oral tradition, the Mishnah, you find that the last two orders of the Mishnah basically deal with these kinds of subjects, with issues of sanctity and issues of, that is, ritual sanctity, and issues of how you dedicate the sanctuary, various elements of the sanctuary, and what were the rites that took place there. Let me keep going. Kachol asher ani mar'eh otcha, as like all which I show you, will show you, eight tavnit hamishkan, the design of the mishkan, of the tabernacle, the eight tavnit kol kelav, and the design of all its vessels, v'chein ta'asu, thus you should make them. You following instructions, right? The most frustrating element of any job, to follow instructions. But you understand that if you sort of stand back and look at the idea of following instructions, is a way of submission. It involves a willingness to put your ego aside and listen and do what you're told to do. And that is not something that is intuitively obvious. That does not go with human nature. Human nature, as I said, is ain't no one gonna tell me what to do. And this is exactly this counterintuitive element of becoming a human being, precisely because it's so counterintuitive, a person's decision to be willing to listen to what they are told to do and to follow instructions is profound. It's part of becoming a human being as opposed to an animal. So this sort of captures that. And of course, let's keep going on this, because before I share with you something that I realized much, much later on after studying all this. So, Kachol asher ani mar'eh otcha, according to all that I will show you. This is, of course, God speaking to Moses. And here it says, Kan et tavnit hamishkan, otcha. It looks like this kan should actually belong to here. But anyway, I guess he's running the sentence on. It's not part of the sentence up here. So, as I show you, and I think this is supposed to belong, at least as we understand it, as I show you here, the design of the tabernacle. Hamikra hazeh mechubar lemikra shelamala. Hemenu. This particular verse is attached to a statement that comes, a verse that comes above it. V'asuli mikdash kechol asher v'asuli mikdash kechol asher ani mar'eh otcha. So this part here, right? It's all attached to to the sentence. Okay, so I think what he's saying is this, that this phrase here actually belongs to this sentence here, right? I mean, this v'shanti b'tocham would be, in a sense, parenthetical, right? V'asuli mikdash, make for me a sanctuary according to all which I show you. That's how Rashi's telling us this is the way to understand this. V'chein ta'asu, thus you should do. So this is in the imperfect tense, right? And the references in Sanhedrin and Shavuot, ledorot, in future generations. Im ya'abed echad min hakelim, if one of the vessels should be destroyed, or keshet ta'asu li kli beit olamim, when you should make for me the vessels of a Beit Olamim would be the temple, Kagon Shulchanot, like the tables, Umenorot and candelabra, Vechiorot and basins, Umechonot. I understood this as I looked it up. It means, what it said to me was stands or stalls. She'asa Shlomo, remember who built the first temple? King Solomon, right? Ketavnit elu ta'asutam. You need to use this basic design whenever you do this. That's why it's v'chein ta'asu. The purpose of this, and thus you shall do, is a reference to future. That in the future, when it becomes necessary or appropriate to build a temple, and of course it needs to be furnished with the furnishings that are going to be described in just a little bit, or the vessels that were used to perform the service, it all needs to be based on what I'm telling you here. Let me make sure this is V'im lo haya hamikra mechubar lamala heimenu. And if this verse was not connected to the verse that occurs above, lo haya lo lichtov v'chein ta'asu. Then this statement, and thus you shall do, because remember, it isn't this sentence is referring to make for me a sanctuary. That's the point that he's making. And he says this, and thus you shall do, doesn't make sense in this sentence here, unless it's related to this sentence here that's finishing here. Ella kain tasu. It would just simply say, thus you shall do. But the fact that it says, and thus you shall do, okay, is something that links right the vav. The and is going to link it to something else. V'haya midaber ali asiyat, and in that case, if it just said kain tasu, this is what you should do, it would just be speaking al asiyat ohel moed v'chelav. It would only be referring to the immediate commandment of making the ohel moed, the tabernacle. But the fact that it says, and thus you shall do, means it definitely is a movement towards to future time, either replacing vessels as they become destroyed or lost or whatever, or a future temple. That it's saying you need to use this similar design. And this is the general commandment regarding the construction of the tabernacle. And now this is the paragraph marking here. And now we go into the construction of the Aron, the ark. So we start off with the very core of the tabernacle. And that is the ark, the Ark of the Covenant. All right? So I'll just do this first sentence. V'asu Aron atzei shitim, and you shall make an ark, a box, a cupboard of, we decided it meant, did we say that it meant cedar wood?
Acacia is what it says here.
I know. We had this issue here. Okay. So by the way, the word Aron, again, essentially means, it's understood to mean a cupboard, a container. I'm sorry, I don't know if you hear that binging going on.
Of course.
That's okay. Yep. I'm getting rid of it. It's my mail client and I just quit it. Va'asu Aron. So let me just go on. So either acacia wood or cedar wood. And here are the dimensions. Amatayim v'chetzi orko, 2 cubits and a half, its length. V'ama v'chetzi rochbo, and a cubit and a half, its width. And again, I'm sure that if we could start to drill down, we would probably find significance in terms of the specific proportions and dimensions of this ark. Let's keep going. The sentence doesn't end there. V'ama v'chetzi kumoto, and it should be a cubit and a half in height. I'll do one little more and then discuss a little bit of the symbolism here. V'tzipita oto, and you should, oh gosh, let's put, in this case means, like when you put metal, you'll see. I'm blocking on the word for a second here. Zahav taor, pure gold. You should cover it, right?
Overlay here.
Overlay. Thank you. You should overlay it with pure gold. Mibayit umichutz tetzapenu. Both inside and outside, you shall layer it. Okay. Va'asita alav zer zahav saviv, and you shall place upon it a gold crown around it. Okay. So I'm going to stop there and explain some of the symbolism. So what was contained in the ark? Yeah,
Before you do that,
sure.
so just a quick question. So besides giving the instructions, for how to build this,
Mhm.
is there actually the deeper meanings associated with the order of it, or the actual, is there really a story allegory behind it, or something else that's deeper than just giving the instructions on how to build the temple and the tabernacle, etc.? So is there, or is
So
that what you're going to talk about next?
that you are anticipating my comments. All right.
Okay, I'll be quiet then.
No, it's okay. It's all right. No, I don't have any problem. So the ark itself came to symbolize what would be called a Talmid Chacham, a wise student. So, it all starts off with having the right thoughts and the right approach to life. Okay, and the ark contained within it. It contained the 10 Commandments. Remember, I believe it contained the second set and the broken set, if I'm not mistaken. For sure it contained, and it also contained a Sefer Torah. And the idea of a Talmid Chacham is that when you study, you're taking this material and putting it inside yourself. A Talmid Chacham is symbolized by this aron, because a Talmid Chacham is gold on the inside as well as gold on the outside. So the idea of a person, this is describing, in a sense, a person and how one should be. That one should be knowledgeable and also gold on the inside and gold on the outside. Ketocho kevaro, like his inside should be like his outside. And there are really tremendous lessons about the very purpose of Judaism or the Torah and the purpose of life as the Torah would like us to understand it. So I'm going to stop the share here, and one moment. Okay, we have like probably less than a minute, but if there are any thoughts or comments at this particular point.
So approximately 8 by 5.
Well,
8 feet by 5 feet-ish.
well, I like to define a cubit as 1.5 feet. So if,
I thought a cubit was like from here to your thing, but it would be on a man, but
That is about 1.5 feet.
is that 1.5 feet? So it's not very long. That's not very big at all. We're not then
Look,
then we're
it's a little
talking
bigger if you- from
3, 4 feet by
so 2.5 cubits,
2.
right? Would be
Yeah, not very big.
6 plus another 18, right? Not 18, sorry. Half a cubit. Am I right? Yeah, 36
9.
inches. I'm talking
18 plus
inches.
9.
18 and 9 was 27.
Yeah.
Well, 18 times 2, that's 36 plus 9. So 45. 45
Okay.
long. So more than 3 feet long.
Yeah. But it's got gold all over it, so it's super heavy.
But well, the thing is, it was gold plating. It was very narrow. The gold, is malleable, and so it was just, a film. It was really like a sheet
Okay.
film. It just needed to be. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to think of,
But still, inside and out, that's
Yes.
still got some weight.
Oh yeah, of course it would. But you should understand that the gold was basically a film of gold on it,
Mhm.
I believe. Yes. So, all right.
What I think is so amazing about all this is how it protects what's inside and the wood. And if it is cedar,
Mhm.
then it would protect the skins of the Torah on the inside too, because the cedar repels any kind of insects, boring little creatures, or eating little creatures. And if it is also acacia, and it came to my mind, could it be both? Because acacia is such a nice hard wood and cedar is so protective. So I'm not sure about those things. And one thing else about the breastplate, I found it very interesting being a tactile as well as a visual person, to not quite understand if the stones were in bezels so they could be actually seen and felt, or if they were inlaid. So and then the types of stones and the onyx where the inscription is, the onyx is a softer stone, so it makes sense that it would be inscribed
Mhm.
or carved, and the other different values of the hardness of each of the stones. So that's where my head went. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
I
Thank
think
you
I
for
think
letting me share.
right. I think that's all quite important. Okay, points to think about. I'm going to stop the recording at this point, and